We can all turn to the left and make our way onto our bellies. So take your time. I see some setting up happening. Please don't rush. Enjoy each moment, even gathering your blankets. See if you can enjoy that. And then when you do eventually make it to your belly, stack the hands, elbows wide, forehead to the back of the hands. And make sure this is comfortable. If you need extra space to breathe or extra space for your chest, you can always place blankets underneath the arms to prop yourself up a little higher. Try closing the mouth. And as you breathe, you may feel the relationship between the front of the body and the earth. Also, bring your awareness to the back of the body. So as the belly expands, try to also let the back of the rib cage, the back of the diaphragm expand as well. We'll just take several centering breaths. As you breathe into the diaphragm, you may notice that you have the opportunity to relax the muscles in the neck, in the shoulders, in the chest. So give yourself space, make little wiggles, and make sure you're benefiting from the results of diaphragmatic breathing. And then bend the knees so the toes point up towards the sky, and really, really small, really, really slow, start to windshield wiper the feet from side to side. Make sure that this movement is gentle so there's no twisting in the knees. And gently begin to massage the front of the thighs. Maybe you can even notice sensation in the low back as the femurs, the thigh bones, internally and externally rotate in the hip socket and pull on the muscles all the way up the backs of the thighs into the thoracolumbar fascia. And then imagine your feet like two cute little snowflakes starting to drift down from the sky, and let them slowly flutter towards the earth. I saw some extra wiggling of toes. I wasn't expecting that, but if you have that capacity, by all means, you can play with that. And then once the feet land, notice that sensation of being held and supported by the earth. Notice any sense of relief and softening that's available. Even though that was a gentle movement, the hamstrings had to work to elevate the feet. So maybe you can feel a sense of softening through the backs of the legs. And let's wake up the upper body a little bit. So prop yourself up on your elbows and be really gentle with this, but push down and slightly wide with the elbows, and notice how the rib cage can lift and rise into the shoulder girdle when you do that. And let's shift the weight over into the right forearm, and then push down into the right forearm to shift the weight over into the left forearm. And again, be really gentle. Let the hands be soft. Favor the pinky side of the hand. Let the middle knuckles lift. And start to play with drawing some circles with the shoulder girdle. So instead of just going left and right, you've got a little bit forward, a little bit back, and we're not trying to stretch. We want to be really gentle here, so less is more. And use this as an opportunity to notice the relationship between the arms and the shoulders, between the arms and the chest and the back body. You can start to circle the opposite direction. And the most important thing here is that the neck feels really light. No work is happening in the neck because the support is coming from the rib cage and the core and the arms and the earth. And then come back to center, slide the arms forward, let the forehead come down, and let the armpits gently lengthen and stretch slightly. You can push the fingertips down and lift the wrists to get a little bit more space. You can even curl the fingers a little further forward if that feels good. And then relax that completely, and again, notice that sensation of the earth supporting the hands, the elbows, the forehead. You're welcome to adjust the arms, perhaps making them a little wider, like a Y or a soft W, whatever feels the least effortful or the most effortless. If you're following along with our musical playlist, which I highly recommend because it was curated specifically for holiday time, you can hit play on the first track called A Light Snow, and make sure that's set to loop until I tell you to go to the next track. So now lengthen the left arm long and gently reach back with the left foot so you feel that space through the whole left side of the body. Draw the right arm underneath the shoulder and gently push into the right arm so that you roll onto the left side, and you should be facing me, hopefully, if we did everything right. And ever so gently start to melt the body forward, melt the body back, move slowly. Doesn't matter how far forward and back you go, so instead try to feel what's interesting, what's inviting, what is the body craving. And then find a center point where you feel balanced and allow the top leg to gently slide back so that the hip extends. You shouldn't feel this at all in the low back, so you don't want any arching in the low back. And then allow the right arm to glide forward and up. And we're going to play a little tug of war between right hand and right foot. So start to pull the right arm forward and notice how it pulls on the shoulder, on the rib cage. The right hip might start to close towards the floor. And then start to reach the right foot back behind you. And notice now how the hip opens and the foot can come onto the floor if that feels more enjoyable on the hips, so you can play with that. And let the leg pull you open any amount, there's no right or wrong. And then the arm pulls. And start to play with this tug of war between the upper and the lower body, becoming the most interested in where the limbs connect into the torso. And this really isn't about stretching, it's actually more about waking up the core. So you want to feel very integrated. Feel how the core supports the leg. And the next time the arm starts to slide forward, gently return to the belly, but take your time noticing that support of the core that you've woken up, and pause on the belly. And we'll go to the other side. So you'll be rolling away from me, but you know what you're about to do. So hopefully you feel up for that. Drag the left hand down, push into the left hand, rolling onto the right side. We start with those gentle rocks, so just a little bit forward, a little bit back. Make sure you're moving really slowly so it feels literally like the body is pooling in a little puddle, dripping forward, and then doing the same thing backward, almost like more surface area is being created between your body and the earth. And then find a middle point to balance. Let the left leg now gently reach behind you. Option to put the foot down if that feels more comfortable. The knee can certainly bend, and then slide the left arm forward and up and start to reach with the foot, letting the body pull towards resting on the back, and then reach with the arm, letting the body pull towards resting on the belly. And feel how the arm connects via the shoulder to the rib cage, and the rib cage integrates down into the pelvis. And so everything you do with the leg translates all the way to the hand. Everything you do with the arm translates all the way down to the foot. Take a couple more. And then slowly let the left arm win the game of tug of war, pulling you onto your belly, but just as effortlessly as you did those side body rocks. And stack the hands elbows wide, rest the forehead, and let your body take in all that information. And then reach the arms forward once again. Rock the pelvis gently forward and gently back until you find a place where the pelvis is neutral, and it should take a little bit of core engagement. You should feel a brightening in the core when you find that neutral. For me, it feels like my tailbone reaches back and my sacrum almost like nestles down into the ilium. So I don't know if that's helpful, but that feels really good to me. And it's not a tucking or a gripping of the glutes. It really is this lengthening and engagement of the core. So maintain that as you play with lifting the right foot, and the right foot shouldn't lift very high. We're just hovering it away from the ground, and you want to make sure that you're feeling your glutes engage. And if the pelvis is neutral as you lift the foot, you should feel a pretty strong contraction on the back of the hip. So play with that on both legs. You can lower and lift a couple of times and bring your awareness to the back of the hip. And you shouldn't feel anything in the low back here, right? It's not coming from the spine extending. It's all coming from the hip extending. And the next time the left leg lifts, pause there and notice the height that is comfortable, and play with reaching forward with the left arm and reaching over to the right with the left arm, and see if you can lift the leg a little higher. And then come back down, and we'll try that same thing on the other side. So you lift the right leg, and it's probably not very high, right? Because we're only using our glutes. And then start to reach forward and to the left with the right arm. And notice if you can get a little extra lift. And then come back down, and we'll do that same thing now with opposite arm and leg. So lift the left leg and play with lifting the right arm, and see how adding in the upper body gives you more lift and reach. Notice how those two relate, and then swap sides. And so this is what we're eventually going to play with standing, using the whole body to help us get in a little deeper extension with the spine. Let's do one more each side with the opposite arm. And in addition to the back bend, I want you to add in a little side bend, circling the rib cage like we did when we were on our forearms. And then try the other side. And less is more. It doesn't have to be a big action. I just want you to start feeling safe side bending and back bending at the same time, because sometimes that's a little unfamiliar. Make sure you're breathing. And then once you've done the second side, you can relax the arms down, relax the forehead, and let's take a mini downward facing Shavasana. do anything with the arms that's comfortable and relaxing. I prefer a diamond with my arms. I really like that feeling.